In the hallway, Ru Yu walked while wondering, is it really possible to create a product for just $6? Lin Ke turned back to answer. It's not much of a difference. Even with fluctuations, it won't exceed 3 cents. Ru Yu worried. What if 3 days from now, she still doesn't accept that price? What should we do? Lin Ke rubbed his chin, thinking, actually, I could find another type of medicine to replace it. I need to go back and study the intercanon pharmacopoeia in the new system carefully. Lin Ke said cheerfully to Ru Yu, I'll take care of that issue. Mayor Liang should prepare some clothes to wear. Ru Yu sighed. Is it still a time for jokes? They went out to the parking lot. Suddenly, Ru Yu said, all right, let me take you back to the hospital. Just in time, Mr. Yang said he wanted to see you. At the hospital, in front of a room, 2 security guards were standing watch. One of them cheerfully said, Dr. Lin, you've arrived. The door opened, and inside was an old man lying on the hospital bed with an assistant beside him. Lin Ke spoke first. Mr. Yang, did you want to see me? Mr. Yang, with a smile, replied, Kid, don't be anxious. Come sit here. Lin Ke sat down on the chair next to the old man, with Ru Yu behind him. He spoke first. Mr. Yang, what brings you here? Mr. Yang replied kindly, Kid, do you have any plans for the future? Or do you want to continue developing in this Hoshin hospital for a long time? Mr. Yang smiled warmly. How about I say a word to them so you can be the deputy director? Lin Ke hesitated and quickly declined. No, Mr. Yang. Someone like me is used to a regular job. I can't handle such a high position. Mr. Yang just smiled. Young, but with good qualities. Kid, your name is Lin Ke, right? Where are you from? Also from Shanghai? Lin Ke felt a bit uneasy with the sudden questions. He replied, Actually, I don't even know where I was born. I grew up in an orphanage. Mr. Yang's assistant was startled. An orphanage? Ru Yu was also surprised, equally shocked. Lin Ke is an orphan. Then where does his money come from? A hand patted Lin Ke firmly on the shoulder. Mr. Yang looked at him warmly. Young man, you must rely on yourself if you want to excel. My body can't sit for long now. Once I'm out of the hospital, this old man will treat you to a good drink. Lin Ke responded cheerfully. You're being too polite. After chatting for a while, Mr. Yang seemed a bit tired and said, I'm feeling a bit weary. I want to rest for a while. You too can go now. Soon after, the two quickly stood up to leave. After Lin Ke departed, the old man's expression turned serious. He asked the man standing next to him, How is it? Does it feel similar, right? The man replied, They do look somewhat alike, but their personalities aren't quite the same. Compared to that man, he lacks boldness. Hearing this, the old man replied calmly, Back then in Dongbai, that person secretly did crazy things that caused chaos all around. Even now, people still talk about it. The man smiled and replied, Though their personalities aren't alike, he is indeed very intelligent. Throughout their conversation, he remained on guard. I will call someone in Yangcheng to investigate the orphanage further. Mr. Yang nodded in agreement. All right, go investigate further. But remember, you must handle it really well. Don't let any rumors arise. Calm the emotions of the other party well. The man immediately complied. Yes, I will get to work right now. Mr. Yang's face revealed a thoughtful smile. Elsewhere, Lin Ke seemed to be waiting for someone. Why are they still not here? Suddenly, a woman's voice called from behind. Hey, handsome, do you want to go on a date with me? Hearing someone call out, Lin Ke unexpectedly turned around. He saw Jai King Ren appear with a gift bag. Upon seeing her, Lin Ke quickly pulled her away and said, No need to beautify yourself anymore. Hurry up. You mentioned before that Teacher Zhang's husband is a knowledgeable person on the Medical Faculty's Council. With his connections, he should definitely know someone who can formulate the medicine. Seeing him in such a rush, Jake King Ren immediately grabbed the gift bag and threw it towards him, helplessly putting her hands on her hips and said, You really don't understand anything. You can't just go to someone's house as a guest empty-handed. Right after that, the scene shifted to Teacher Zhang's house. In front of them was the figure of a middle-aged woman smiling and welcoming the two. Oh wow, didn't I say last time that you shouldn't bring gifts anymore? Why did you buy something again? Right after that, Teacher Zhang and her husband invited the two into the house. Don't stand outside anymore, come in and sit down. In the lavish living room, Teacher Zhang took Jai King Ren's hand and asked, Is there a problem with the business, or is there an issue with Lang Yun Corporation's investment? But you did talk to the dean, and the overall development situation is still fine. Lin Ke, hearing Teacher Zhang's concern, replied happily, Thank you, Teacher Zhang. I came here this time because I have some issues that need Teacher Peng's advice. Upon hearing this, Teacher Zhang became worried and asked Lin Ke, Lin Ke, could it be that the issue originated from you? Lin Ke nodded seriously. It is indeed my issue. Teacher Peng slowly put down the water tray, adjusted his glasses, and said seriously to Lin Ke, You come with me inside, I will check on you. Health-related matters are serious and cannot be delayed. Seeing him suddenly so serious, Lin Ke was startled and explained, Teacher Peng, I don't need a checkup. I'm here just for advice on some issues. I have an oriental medicine formula I want to prepare to see how it performs clinically. Hearing this, Teacher Peng shook his head seriously. No, that is not something that ordinary people like us can do. It requires permission from the state, otherwise it would be illegal. Lin Ke saw his proposal being rejected and quickly explained, Teacher Peng, it's not that serious. The medicine will be destroyed right in front of everyone once it is finished. I just need to report the experiment. This is very important to me. Upon hearing his explanation, Teacher Peng nodded happily. Then that's fine. I'll take you two to the Institute of Traditional Chinese Medicine and find her deputy director to see if there's any way to help. She's an old classmate of mine. At the Institute of Traditional Chinese Medicine Zhonghai, Deputy Director Zhao Dongmai, an old classmate of Teacher Peng, greeted them warmly as soon as she saw them. Hey, you're here. Teacher Peng quickly introduced Lin Ke and Jai King Ren. Let me introduce you. This girl is our student from Yanda, and this is Lin Ke, her boyfriend. With Teacher Peng's introduction, both quickly greeted her. Hello, Ms. Zhao. After sitting down, Lin Ke quickly got to the main issue. Ms. Zhao, I have a prescription, and I want to use this prescription to formulate it into a finished medicine. I hope you can think of a way to help. Ms. Zhao looked at the paper Lin Ke handed her, surprised, and asked, Where did this prescription come from? The formulation is so unusual. I've been in Chinese medicine for many years, and I've never seen this kind of prescription. Lin Ke quickly explained, This is a prescription taken from the Inner Canon Pharmacopoeia. Upon hearing this, Ms. Zhao was extremely surprised and exclaimed, How can that be? Inner Canon Pharmacopoeia is the most eclectic ancient book on Chinese medicine, and moreover, several volumes have been burned. How could you have seen it? At this moment, Lin Ke did not hide the sadness on his face and said, This is a prescription passed down from my ancestors. In order to fulfill my ancestors' wish, I brought this prescription to look for you. Jai King Ren, upon hearing him say this, was astonished and could not help but wonder, What? You're an orphan. Ms. Zhao, after Lin Ke finished speaking, immediately explained seriously, Although our hospital has a pharmacy, the finished medicine needs to go through many rounds of evaluation and also requires clinical trials. The time required is at least 1 year. At this moment, Lin Ke took on a sorrowful expression, wiping away tears. It can't be that complicated. After preparing the medicine, testing it on a few white mice is enough. I just need to report the experiment. In 3 days, it will be the 30th anniversary of my grandfather's death, and I plan to bring him this good news. Upon finishing, Lin Ke's expression brightened and he turned to King Ren. King Ren, I plan to donate $3 million to the Zhonghai Institute of Traditional Chinese Medicine. What do you think? This statement immediately stunned Ms. Zhao. Shortly after, her expression became cheerful, and she said, Mr. Lin, if that's the case, then it's no problem. We will do our best to complete the report before you're going to visit the grave. Lin Ke achieved his goal and happily shook hands with Ms. Zhao, saying, Thank you for your hard work, Ms. Zhao. The two shook hands in the astonished silence of Jai King Ren. She looked at Lin Ke with a sympathetic gaze. Lin Ke really know how to put on a show. At Zhujiaoji, on a sunny evening, Jai King Ren was lying on the sofa, eyes closed, one hand resting on her forehead. She said, Lin Ke, you're really something. The teachers earlier were completely fooled by you without even realizing it. Lin Ke bent one knee on the chair, leaned toward King Ren, and replied, Why call it deceiving? Isn't it all for your Zhao Yang Corporation? Then he urged her, Go take a shower. You've been outside all day. King Ren lifted her feet, still in her high heels, signaling her reluctance to comply. I'm really tired from being outside all day. I don't want to do anything right now. Suddenly, she found herself being lifted by Lin Ke. Jai King Ren was greatly surprised as he looked at her fondly and said, You have to do something, so let me help you shower. Just sit still. With a smile, Lin Ke made the suggestion, leaving King Ren wide-eyed in astonishment. After saying that, his hands began to unbutton her shirt from top to bottom while he asked, How's the project work going? It must be in the process of relocation, right? He continued to unzip the back, helping King Ren quickly take off her clothes. She closed her eyes, bashfully replying, Some households refuse to relocate. We have to handle it gradually. King Ren dipped her feet into the filled bathtub. As she submerged herself, Lin Ke leaned over the tub and gently asked, Is the water warm enough? King Ren's face flushed. She replied casually, The water is warm enough. You can go outside. I can bathe by myself. Suddenly, water splashed everywhere as Lin Ke jumped into the tub. King Ren let out a surprised ah, tightly closing her eyes and curling up in the water. A while later, King Ren stepped out of the bathroom, already wearing a bathrobe. She turned her head back, looking at the steam-filled bathroom where Lin Ke's figure was still visible, and thought to herself. He said he was helping me bathe, but suddenly, the phone rang. It was a call from Mother Wang. King Ren sat on the bed, one hand drying her hair, the other holding the phone. As soon as Mother Wang spoke, "King Ren, are you asleep? I have something to talk about. Just you knowing is enough. Don't let Lin Ke know, okay?" King Ren replied immediately after hearing Mother Wang. "He's in the shower, Mon. Is something happening?" Mother Wang on the other end recounted. This afternoon, 2 people came to the orphanage to inquire about Lin Ke's situation. They even asked if I had ever met Lin Ke's biological parents. This shocking news hit King Ren like a bolt of lightning, leaving her speechless. After a moment, she calmed down and told Mother Wang, "Don't tell anyone else about this besides me." Mother Wang immediately agreed. Okay. Ending the call, King Ren held the phone close to her chest, eyes closed, and thought. The scene shifted to a place with many lockers where a woman was searching for something in 3 safes. In the bottom locker, she took out a letter from a rectangular box with a red lining. The woman with curly blonde hair recalled an image of a long-haired, red-haired woman in a floor-length pink dress, holding a child while walking in the rain without any shelter. She closed the box and knelt down, telling herself, "There are some things that are better left unsaid." Returning to King Ren's room, she looked at her phone and wondered, why would someone be investigating Lin Ke's identity? The next morning at Huashen Hospital, there were whispers in the air. Among them stood out the phrase, "Please, Mom, come with me to buy medicine." That statement caught Lin Ke's attention. In front of him was a young boy kneeling before his elderly mother, trembling as he pleaded, "Mom, I'm begging you." The mother, leaning on her cane, protested, "I'm not going anywhere. Those few boxes of medicine have already cost over $2,000. Your cousin still has to go to school and needs money." The son was helpless and earnest, tears streaming down. "Go buy medicine with me. No matter how poor we are, we must take Mom for a checkup." The mother dismissed, "My grandchild needs money for school. I am old already. Don't waste money on my medical checkup, okay?" At this moment, King Ren stepped forward and asked, "Brother, what's going on?" The son looked up and shared, "Doctor, you have to persuade my mother. She says she feels discomfort in her heart. The doctor prescribed medicine, but my mother thinks it's too expensive, so she refuses to buy it no matter what." Lin Ke, who was behind, frowned and asked, "Has an ECG been done? What did the prescription say?" The man replied, "The prescription is here," holding the diagnosis paper from Huashen Hospital. Lin Ke contemplated, while Cao Xin seemed somewhat panicked. "It seems to be arrhythmia." Lin Ke read the information on the paper, and his expression turned angry. He shouted, "Which doctor prescribed this medicine so foolishly?" The son stood up beside his mother and said, "It was Dr. Gao who wrote the prescription. He seems to be the head physician at the hospital. Is there a problem with the medicine?" Lin Ke explained, "From a medical standpoint, your mother has arrhythmia, which is not too serious. Just avoid excessive exertion and let her recover slowly. Normally, just 1 bottle of succinylcholine would be enough, but this medicine puts a lot of pressure on the heart." Hearing that, the man's mother and son seemed enlightened. "Is that true?" Lin Ke confidently affirmed, "If you don't believe it, change to another doctor and you will understand. Remember, the next time you visit for a checkup, get your appointment card from the head physician like Suhan." After hearing this, the son was greatly astonished. The mother and son bowed their heads in gratitude. "Thank you very much, doctor." The atmosphere around them suddenly became cheerful. The son happily said, "Mom, we won't buy those expensive medicines anymore. We just need to buy succinylcholine." The mother joyfully asked back, "Is succinylcholine very expensive?" Cao Xin happily replied from behind, "Ma'am, succinylcholine only costs $5 a bottle. It's not expensive." After hearing that, the mother hesitated for a moment, but then they laughed again. "Then just buy 1 bottle." After they finished, Cao Xin saw the 2 mother and son off. They did not forget to thank him once again. At that moment, Lin Ke was still standing there, and someone else brought a box of medicine and asked, "Doctor, could you please take a look at this for me? Is there anything wrong with this prescription? These 2 boxes of medicine cost over $800. Our family can't afford it." Another girl came over with a diagnosis paper seeking help. "Doctor, please take a look at this for me. This type of medicine is too expensive. I cannot afford it." At that moment, another person also brought a prescription needing assistance, and "I need help too." Lin Ke was quite confused, raising his hands as if he didn't know what to do. He said, "Wait a minute, there are too many people. If anyone has doubts about their prescriptions, please go get a medical card from Department Head Lai so she can review it again." Everyone listened and bowed their heads respectfully to thank Lin Ke. But something made him angry. He slammed his fist on the table, as if something very unusual made him grit his teeth, his face full of rage, and he shouted, "Cao Jiao Wang is really outrageous." Next to him, a girl with a worried expression sighed, avoiding eye contact, and advised, "Brother Lin, please calm down. This is the hospital's unspoken rule. Doctors often make money from kickbacks to brokers. By the time the hospital finds out, there's nothing they can do. After hearing this, Lin Ke's anger escalated. He was both helpless and annoyed, kicking the chair and yelling, knowing it and still not being able to do anything. The girl was taken aback by his actions, her face showing some fear. Suddenly, another girl entered through the door, breaking the tense atmosphere surrounding Lin Ke. As she walked in, she looked at him and said, "Are you done being angry?" Like Suhan crossed her arms over her chest, appearing arrogant. "Follow me to the director's office." Xiao Xin, seeing this, anxiously asked, "Department head Lai, which director is looking for Brother Lin? Is it because of what just happened in the main hall of the hospital?" Like Suhan did not want to answer and simply said, "You can go see for yourself." She looked worried while Lin Ke seemed indifferent. "Brother Lin, you really must control yourself." Ignoring Xiao Xin's words, Lin Ke strode directly to the dean's office. He walked in with a face still full of anger and asked bluntly, "Mr. Zhao, what do you need before?" Without any preamble, he criticized, "You're being impulsive. Do you realize the impact this will have on the hospital?" After hearing this, Lin Ke's expression darkened as he pressed, "I'm the one causing an impact. I just reviewed the patient's file and prescribed another medication. It's not excessive at all." The dean, looking somewhat displeased, advised, "That's something understood implicitly between us. You went and broke that thin layer of understanding. It's like smashing someone's rice bowl. I hope you go back and write a self-critique. I won't pursue it any further." Dean Zhao's words enraged Lin Ke, and he shouted, "Right what?" Dean Zhao was taken aback, shocked by Lin Ke's remarks. Although he was the dean, being yelled at like this by a subordinate made him uncomfortable, but he couldn't do anything about it. All he could do was fume and watch Lin Ke's back as he left, grumbling to Like Suhan. "Director Lai, Lin Ke has gone too far." Like Suhan glanced at him with displeasure and questioned, "I think Dr. Lin is not wrong. You're asking him to write a self-criticism, which is a bit difficult to understand." Having said that, she also left with Lin Ke, ignoring his angry shout. "I have to deal with two people seriously today." Lin Ke had returned to his clinic, and Xiao Xin quickly approached, worriedly asking, "Lin, how did it go? Did Dean Zhao give you a hard time?" Lin Ke walked up to his desk, calmly pulled out a chair, looked at her, and replied, "What does it matter if he gives me a hard time? The most that can happen is getting fired." Lin Ke's words surprised her. Putting aside the topic, he continued to invite the next patient in. His face still showed signs of displeasure as he said bluntly, "Give me your medical card." A girl had just stepped forward, looking a bit unsure, calling out, "Boss." Lin Ke looked up, and suddenly the girl covered her mouth, her eyes wide with shock. She stood there with her mouth agape, confused as a flurry of questions rushed at Lin Ke. "Boss Lin, please don't tell me you are that doctor. Aren't you just the boss running DD? How much money did you spend to get into this place?" Lin Ke's face turned dissatisfied upon hearing those questions. He replied, "What money is there? I came here based on my own abilities, not money." The girl still didn't believe it, frozen in place at his explanation. At that moment, Xiao Xin came over with the documents, her proud face proving Lin Ke's abilities. A few days ago, Dr. Lin successfully performed a surgery on a vascular tumor. Now he is the brightest star in our hospital. After saying this, she stepped closer behind Lin Ke and continued with her work. "Patients and doctors should be serious." He asked, "What are you here for? Why do you have so many red spots on you?" As if recalling the moment, the girl touched the red bumps on her body, her expression worried. "I was on a business trip in Yangchang, and when I returned, I had a lot of red spots." Upon hearing this, Lin Ke calmly handed her a piece of paper and said, "Go outside and buy a tube of ointment for about $14. Applying it should be fine." She seemed a bit skeptical and asked back, "Really? Just $14 will be enough?" Lin Ke had a somewhat sly look on his face and teased, "Ah, I misspoke earlier. $14 won't be enough because your bottom is big, so it will take a lot of ointment." This statement surprised the girl. She turned around to cover her bottom and yelled, "Oh my gosh, if you keep talking, you'll ruin my pure innocence." Lin Ke smiled triumphantly, looking quite wicked. Suddenly, a cosplay nurse system appeared in the air in a seductive pose, announcing, "Congratulations, Master, on completing the task. The career completion progress is 35%. You'll receive 20% shares in any company with a market value under $200 billion. Lin Ke, like a greedy person, was only interested in the reward. 20% shares in any company are fine. The girl from the system appeared in front of him, smiling confidently as she replied, "That's right. As long as the market value does not exceed $200 billion. Lin Ke showed a pleased expression, secretly thinking, "I'll use this reward later. I need to think carefully about it." Suddenly, Liang Ru Yu's phone call came in. Xiao Xin beside him reminded, "Dr. Lin, your phone is ringing." As he answered, Ru Yu, somewhat excited, launched into a stream of information. Lin Ke, I just received news. 6 major international pharmaceutical companies have simultaneously announced a price increase for 25 exported drugs to Austria, ranging from 48% to 214%. After hearing this, Lin Ke was also surprised and shouted, What? They're all raising prices? Ru Yu continued with a worried expression. Let's go out in 10 minutes. There's a cafe near the hospital. We can meet and talk. After the call ended, Lin Ke hurriedly took off his lab coat and turned to the female doctor, saying, I have an urgent matter to attend to. Please take care of the remaining patients. The female doctor, standing behind him, was surprised and didn't have time to react. At the cafe, as Lin Ke arrived, he saw Liang Ru Yu sitting alone. Spotting her, he gently approached from behind and tucked a strand of her hair behind her ear, startling her. He said, No matter what happens, we should deal with it calmly. Why are you in such a hurry, looking so disheveled? Liang Ru Yu replied sternly, This is not the time for jokes. Upon hearing this, Lin Ke withdrew his hand, smiled, and sat down opposite her without saying anything. Before he could enjoy his cup of coffee, Ru Yu got straight to the point. I've checked of the 6 companies raising drug prices. 3 of them have shares in HR Pharmaceuticals. The other 3 also have direct or indirect partnerships. Hearing this, Lin Ke picked up the documents in his hand, reading while expressing his anger. How cunning! These 25 imported drugs are all essential. If they all increase their prices at once, the living costs for citizens will rise significantly. Liang Ru Yu, listening to Lin Ke, realized he was correct about what she was worried about. She rested her chin on her hand, deep in thought, and asked, That's true, but do you have a solution? Lin Ke listened to her question with a confident expression on his face, placing his hand on his chest and asking, Do you believe me? Ru Yu replied firmly, I believe you. Immediately after, Lin Ke smiled and suggested, Now you issue a directive to cut off all communication lines to their supply. At most, it would just be mutual losses for both sides. She, feeling helpless, responded, That's a bit difficult. The import of the drugs is the responsibility of the Ministry of Management, and local departments do not have the authority to intervene. Lin Ke showed no signs of difficulty, lifting his coffee cup to enjoy while replying. You may not be able to manage the import department, but you can probably manage customs, right? At the same time, notify all upper-tier hospitals to import this type of drug as much as possible. Upon hearing this, Ru Yu seemed to understand something, happily saying, I know what to do now. What you mean is that before the drug prices go up, we should stockpile as much as possible, right? Lin Ke gestured with his finger. Not stockpiling. Then he opened his hand and continued, but rather wait for their goods to reach customs and hold everything back. This way, at least 80% of their goods will stay at the Zhonghai dock. Interesting, right? Ru Yu still had doubts. What impact will this have on them? Lin Ke's gaze became sharp as he replied, Firstly, they will violate the delivery times stipulated in the contract. Secondly, I will leak news that their goods are being temporarily detained by customs for investigation. I guarantee their stock prices will drop by half, creating a major crisis that will shake the financial stability of Europe and America. After hearing this, Ru Yu looked at Lin Ke in a bit of panic, thinking to herself, Is he going too far? Ignoring her surprise, Lin Ke said, Revise the documents and then pass them to me. All the information, including the names of the 6 pharmaceutical companies and the types of medications. Ru Yu stood up and replied, No problem, I'll prepare it right away. The 2 left the cafe. Just as her hand touched the car door handle, Liang Ru Yu suddenly paused, turned to Lin Ke, and said, The livelihoods of billions of people are interconnected. They will all be relying on you. Hearing this, Lin Ke looked at her, his eyes flashing with something. He leaned in and patted her shoulder, confirming, Don't worry, I won't make light of this. He stood watching her car drive away and then called Kao Jing-tu. Are you at the office? I have a business opportunity here. Do you want to join? At Kao Jing-ku's office, she looked at Lin Ke and asked, Boss Lin, what do you need me for? Lin Ke stood in front of her desk, smiling as he said, On my way here, I sent some documents to your Gmail. Could you find a few Navy teams to help me out? Upon hearing this, Kao Jing-tu became a bit flustered. This is a bit special. Don't use the domestic server. It's risky. Lin Ke quickly walked behind her, flashing a charming smile. Let me help you fake some foreign IP addresses. Using those IPs, no one will know. Hearing this, Jing-Q was surprised. You even know hacking techniques? Lin Ke pulled up a chair and sat down beside her, replying, It's just faking an IP address. It's not hard. I know a lot more than that. Jing-Q responded, I also want to know what else you know, Boss Lin. After she finished speaking, Lin Ke took a card out of his jacket pocket and grinned. I'm a cardiac surgeon at Huashan Hospital. Feel free to come for a checkup. Seeing the doctor's card in his hand, Jing Tu was speechless in surprise. She was confused, thinking, how is this possible? What kind of man is he really? After 2 hours of diligently typing on the keyboard, Lin Ke stood up, stretched, and said, all the addresses are ready. The place you post the information should preferably be one with a lot of male users. Jing Tu frowned and replied, I already know that. Later, I will discuss with the marketing department to maximize efficiency. After that, Lin Ke turned to walk away, waving without looking back. The rest relies on everyone now. Watching his back, Jing Tu thought, with my IQ, how could I possibly compete with someone like him? In another room, a voice echoed. Boss Lady Zhao, the head office has arranged everything smoothly. Whenever we want to raise the price, we just need to say so. Zhao Wen held a cigarette in her hand, and upon hearing this, she smiled and replied, Lying Jinming considers himself clever, but doesn't realize how much power he truly has. Our HR is no pushover either. Tomorrow will be the second round of negotiations. I am looking forward to it. Suddenly, the phone rang. Zhao Wen quickly extinguished her cigarette, attached the phone to the stand, and adjusted her clothing before the camera, greeting seriously, Mr. Roy, do you have any instructions? Roy from the other side of the screen said, 6 major companies have just contacted me. They said that Hoaxia is in the process of purchasing large quantities of 25 types of medicine that are about to increase in price. Zhao Wen heard this, seeming to seize the opportunity, confidently said loudly, It is normal for them to stock up before the price increases. I am very confident in tomorrow's negotiation. The price will be settled at $289. Roy listened and responded confidently. Okay, this quarter's financial report looks promising. I have arranged a new position for you, and when you return, you can take that seat. Zhao Wen's eyes lit up after hearing this, happily replied, Thank you for your trust. In another place, Lin Ke had just met Zhao Dongmai. He quickly noticed the file folder in her hands and did not wait for her to hand it over, but took it out himself. Zhao Dongmai looked at him and said, Lin Ke, everything you need is in here. You have heard me advise you many times, don't put me in a difficult position. Lin Ke smiled and replied, Don't worry, I know my limits. Zhao Dongmai stopped and added, We held an internal meeting and concluded that this is a very good finished drug. We want to take one more step, conduct clinical trials, and get approval. Do you have any comments? Lin Ke replied with a smile, No problem. I will write a power of attorney for you. You can handle it yourself. Zhao Dongmai smiled brightly and said, Really? Don't worry, if this drug passes the clinical trials, we won't take any credit from you. Lin Ke also smiled back, You are being too polite, Ms. Zhao. Then he said his goodbyes. I have things to attend to, so I can't chat with you any longer. He turned to leave, waving goodbye to her, and Zhao Dongmai waved back, saying, Okay, it's settled then. On the other side, Liang Ru Yu was waiting for Lin Ke outside the bidding venue. When she saw him arrive, she eagerly asked, Have you finished preparing everything? Lin Ke raised the file, smiling as he said, Let's go. I will show you the moment of the miracle. At the bidding center in the meeting room, everyone was seated waiting with Zhao Wen. The sound of the door opening attracted their attention. A man looked towards the door and seeing Lin Ke and Ru Yu enter, called out, Expert Liang. Zhao Wen also smiled and said, Expert Liang, we have studied this many times. We really can't lower the price any further. Ibuprofen 60 milligrams, $289 per box. Lin Ke heard this and immediately grabbed Liang Ru Yu's shoulder, firmly stating, Let's go. No more sitting here. There's no need for any more negotiations. The man from earlier hurriedly asked, Expert Liang, aren't you going to say anything? Lin Ke quickly replied, If they won't lower the price, then what is there to negotiate? Zhao Wen, hearing this, became anxious and thought to herself, the 6 major pharmaceutical companies have all raised their prices. Could she possibly not be aware of this? She gritted her teeth, feeling a bit angry, and said, Expert Liang, right now the prices of pharmaceutical raw materials are rising globally. If we don't accept this price, I can't guarantee what it will reach in the future. Lin Ke unabashedly slammed the stack of documents onto the table, smiling triumphantly. This is the result of our research. This finished drug has effects similar to ibuprofen, but with fewer side effects. The documents in this stack are certificates issued by a professional organization. I believe we no longer need to negotiate. Lin Ke's words left Zhao Wen and everyone around her astonished. They stared intently at the stack of documents on the table, all feeling confused. Liang Ru Yu stood beside Lin Ke, unable to believe what was happening. After everyone finished reading the documents, a man spoke up. This report is very detailed, almost identical to HR's ibuprofen. It can completely replace it. Hearing this, Zhao Wen's assistant became extremely panicked and turned to ask, Boss Lady Zhao, what should we do now? Zhao Wen, still shocked by what was before her, suddenly shouted, This is just the details of the experimental work. There are no clinical reports. Do you think it's convincing? Lin Ke scoffed. Clinical trials have already been conducted, but today is the day of the second negotiation, so I had to present it ahead of schedule. From his jacket pocket, Lin Ke took out a mysterious vial, placed it on the table, and declared, "This is the drug developed by us. You can take it back to your laboratory for research. If the clinical results are not promising, then we can continue negotiating about the price." Zhao Wen gritted her teeth, staring intently at the vial. Lin Ke challenged her. "We have no intention of researching this drug, but if you insist on raising the prices of those 25 imported drugs, our team is also ready to research alternatives." Hearing this, everyone in the room was surprised by Lin Ke's challenge. After leaving, his assistant exclaimed, "Today is really intense." She continued to ask, "Is that medicine really researched by you? You didn't use some props to deceive her, did you?" Lin Ke responded with a smile. "What props could I use?" The girl murmured, "Can that vial of medicine really replace ibuprofen?" He nodded and smiled. "That's right. But I still hope you can give the green light for the medicine to enter clinical trials soon." The girl looked at him and smiled, making Lin Ke feel shy. "Why do you keep staring at me?" She replied, "I'm surprised. How could you develop such a great medicine?" Lin Ke laughed. "I don't know either. Maybe I'm the chosen man. As I said before, I will help you. Maybe just 2 months will be enough." After he finished speaking, a car pulled up nearby to take the girl home. On the way, Lin Ke put his hands in his pockets, whistling happily. In the car, the girl glanced in the rearview mirror and chuckled to herself, thinking, although he is a bit cunning, he really is a man with a bright aura. Elsewhere, Zhao Wen angrily slammed a stack of documents on the table, staring at the vial of medicine that Lin Ke had provided. Her staff nervously asked, "Boss Lady Zhao, how should we report this to headquarters? Otherwise, it'll be hard to justify." Zhao Wen gritted her teeth and called her associates. A voice came from the other end. "The negotiations are probably over, right? When are you coming back? I'll prepare a feast for you." She replied dejectedly, "Mr. Raw, I'm truly sorry, this was unexpected." Upon hearing this, the man on the other end was also taken aback. "How can this be?" She honestly said, "Currently, Huaxia has developed a drug that is similarly effective to ibuprofen. I have the finished product and the test report here. In other words, our drug has been completely replaced." The man couldn't accept this truth. He repeatedly stomped his feet on the ground, his face pale with worry, even dropping the phone. He shouted, "How could they possibly develop a similar drug in such a short time? This is impossible." She continued, "We took their drug to the laboratory for testing. Its effectiveness is very good. Moreover, it seems Huaxia has no intention of importing our 25 drugs anymore. They will develop them themselves." He felt as if he'd been struck at his core, hardly able to believe it. Weren't those hospitals placing a lot of orders? He gritted his teeth and ordered his subordinates, "No more sea shipping. Switch everything to air freight. We need to make money in the shortest time possible. Nothing unexpected must happen again." Boss Lady Zhao stood up and hung up the phone, then slammed her fist on the table. But unfortunately, she felt nauseous and dizzy. Her subordinates were worried. "Boss Lady Zhao, what's wrong? Do you need to go to the hospital?" She replied, "No need. What the boss just said, you go handle it for me." She forced herself to continue speaking. "Through this price increase, we will save a lot of money." In the office, curses and the sound of slamming tables echoed. "Dad, even if you get angry and break things, it won't solve anything. I think HR's drug will have a hard time entering the Huaxia market unless the price is $10 and free shipping. Then maybe it would work." Hearing this, the father replied, "If it's really $10, we won't benefit from being an HR agent." He continued, "Who is that kid next to Liang Ru Yu? Look into his background." The son replied, "No need, I already know his situation. He is acquainted with Qin Han at the racetrack. Just let me handle it." At the hospital where Lin Ke worked, his colleagues happily greeted him. "Lin, you're here. Have you eaten?" "I have these 2 bananas." Lin Ke coldly replied, "No thanks, I already bought some fruit rolls on the way here." Lin Ke turned his head around to look at his other colleagues, who were staring at him with cold eyes. When Lin Ke sat down on the chair and ate a banana with his colleagues, he turned to ask the girl, "What's wrong with these people? It's as if I killed their whole family. Why are they staring at me like that?" The girl replied, "A few days ago, you said an old woman went to buy Subsio Juxin medicine, and now all the patients are gathering in front of Director Li's clinic. No one is going to Director Liu's and Director Fang's clinics anymore. Of course, they see you as the enemy." He sighed. "That's their problem. How can they blame someone else?" From the hospital room, a voice rang out. "Has Director Cao finished examining? The number of patients you have isn't that many. Do you intend to turn the 3 of us into a joke?" A white-haired man replied, "It's all that bastard Lin Ke's fault. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't be in this situation." Another man hearing this stubbed out his cigarette and said, "You two follow me. We are going to see the director now." At the director's office, a total of 3 people enter, surprising the director. "Director Cao, why are the 3 of you here?" Director Zhao replied, "This is regarding intern Dr. Lin Ke. Are you aware of the situation?" Director Zhao responded, "I'm aware. Many people have called to complain. I will transfer him to the emergency room and then gradually get rid of him." Hearing this, Director Cao breathed a sigh of relief. "Now that you say that, I can rest assured. Hurry up and transfer that kid quickly. I don't want to see him for another minute." Right at that moment, the man's phone received a call. His expression when he saw it was not very good. He immediately turned away and said, "I'm going to take this call. Director Cao, what's happening? Are the drugs still sellable? My stock is piling up." He frowned. "Our department just found a new doctor. No one is coming to see us now. There's only one way left, to lure that kid. I will send you that kid's phone number. You try talking to him. If he picks up on the other end, then great. You send me that kid's phone number, and I will talk to him myself." From inside the room, someone had overheard everything. He was startled and questioned him. "Uncle, is it really time for you to still be in contact with them?" He unexpectedly replied, "Do you want to scare your uncle to death? If we can pull Lin Ke over to our side, who will have a place to make a living anymore?" He responded, "How can you let such a good opportunity go to them?" He ground his teeth. "By the time they finalize this deal, I will report this news to Director Zhao. It won't just be a transfer decision, it will be a decision to fire you." He laughed. His uncle's attack was too sophisticated. In room 804, there was an elderly man slowly nearing death, and his 2 children were very worried. A woman named Xiao Dong said, "We don't need to keep watch here anymore. Let's go home and prepare. Who knows how much longer he can hold on?" The girl retorted, "What are you talking about? Dad's condition is very stable right now. What do you want to prepare? I think you are just eager for Dad's inheritance." Suddenly, the door to the room opened and a voice rang out, "Check the room." A woman was cheerful in front of her doctor. She said, "Director Lai, thank you for your hard work." The doctor looked around the patient and checked his pulse. "It's been more than half a month. The recovery isn't very good, but he still needs to rest more." Xiao Dong began to act to show her filial piety towards her father. She asked, "Director Lai, with my father's condition, would surgery be better?" The doctor replied, "Your father is quite old, so there is a very high risk. Even in the best condition, the success rate is less than 10%. There is a high possibility he could die on the operating table. Therefore, I believe maintaining the current state is the best option." The 2 children sighed in relief upon hearing this, seemingly lifting a weight off their shoulders. The elder sister opposed again. "I feel we should proceed with the surgery immediately." In Lin Ke's mind, he felt that Xiao Dong's thinking was problematic. His sister refused again. "It's too dangerous. I won't agree to the surgery." Hearing this, the older sister shouted, pointing right at her sister, "Liu Jingyu, are you still your father's daughter? How can you refuse treatment for such a serious illness? It's really a waste to have nurtured you for so many years." The girl, frightened, said, "Director Lai just mentioned that if the surgery is performed, there is a high chance of dying on the operating table. I don't want to take that risk. You're really useless. You've been standing in the corner this whole time and haven't said a word. You're your father's son, and you are the owner of this house now. Don't you think the surgery is a bit risky? Let me tell you, if you don't treat your father to cure his illness, that's unfilial. People like that are often irresponsible towards their family. Just get divorced." "Don't go. Let's discuss this slowly. You're just agreeing to the surgery, right?" "Director Lai, we've decided to proceed with the surgery. I've already explained the pros and cons. If you still choose to go ahead with the surgery, then I have no further comments. Kiao Xin, come back here in the afternoon to check on the patient and provide the results to the family. The patient needs to sign the agreement that needs to be resolved." "Understood, Director Lai." Scene shifts to CDC Shanghai. "Sorry, we must have an urgent meeting. Have you eaten yet?" "Not yet. I'm still at the hospital. If you haven't left, I'll meet you right away. After the meeting, I invite you to dinner." When entering the meeting room, all eyes were focused on the 2 people. Lin Ke was walking in with a suspicious gaze, accompanied by a perfunctory nod from the elderly people in the room. "Today's meeting aims to gather opinions on the development direction of some new drugs. We'd hope to conduct research to quickly replace certain drugs that need to be imported. Mr. Lin, I want to know where this prescription came from." "The inner cannon pharmacopoeia." Lin Ke calmly responded, "But the inner cannon pharmacopoeia has been missing for a long time. Where did you get it?" "I hope Mr. Lin can be a bit more serious. This is not a joke." Lin Ke slammed his hand on the table with a loud sound. "I feel that regardless of any meeting, as long as it exceeds people's imagination, it is considered a joke, isn't it? I hope this finished drug enters clinical trials soon as possible. Let's stop wasting time here with meaningless talk. After saying that, the main character turned and walked towards the door. Lin Ke, can you be serious for a moment? Everyone in this meeting room is a prominent figure in the field of Chinese medicine. Can you show a bit of respect for my status? A pair of legs hurriedly approached the main character, calling out loudly. That person is Yan Dao Lang, the director of the Institute of Traditional Chinese Medicine, Zhanghai. He walked up and excitedly grabbed Lin Ke's hand, saying, Mr. Lin, listening to your words for an hour is worth more than reading books for 10 years. What you just said seems to have shattered a thin barrier that has bound Chinese medicine for so many years. I am enlightened. The incident happened too quickly and dangerously, leaving both of them confused. A big question mark hovered above their heads. Hey kid, it's not so bad. Come over to my place for dinner when you're free. Lin Ke agreed enthusiastically. Sure. After chatting for a while, they went their separate ways. Outside the Zhanghai CDC building, by the way, the 6 major pharmaceutical companies have started delivering. I heard the first batch of medicine will arrive at Zhanghai tonight. When that happens, just tell them there's a problem with the goods and they need to be held for inspection. Weren't you just saying you wanted to invite me for dinner? Just as he finished speaking, Lin Ke's iPhone 15 Pro Max rang. Dr. Lin, I'm the owner of the pharmacy at the entrance of Huoshan Hospital. I'm wondering if you have time tonight. I'd like to invite you for dinner to discuss a profitable business opportunity. Who called? Do you have plans tonight? You should go. It's the owner of a big pharmacy saying he wants to discuss a lucrative deal. You should come with me tonight. Actually, I'm not really used to having dinner with men. You go entertain the client. Go to hell. Why would I go with you? Lin Ke teased her to the point where she blushed. Then the scene shifted to their meeting place, and they both walked inside together. A few dishes were already prepared on the round dining table, and a man was sitting there waiting. Dr. Lin, this man is Wang Hong, the owner of Tian Pharmacy. She's my friend, not someone from the hospital system. We can discuss whatever we want without worrying about her. Dr. Lin. Then I will speak frankly. My pharmacy has a batch of medicine still in stock. I wonder if Dr. Lin has any way to help me sell it. I will share 20% of the profit with you. Isn't 20% a bit too little? Do you think I'm that short on money? So how much do you want? Wang Hong warily looked at Lin Ke. Then let's go with 30%. I can reluctantly agree. Lin Ke smirked at Wang Hong. Dr. Lin, don't joke around. 20% is already my limit, but if you can win over Like Suhan, then I can give you 23%. Lin Ke put down his chopsticks in agreement, but I need you to sign a commitment before I trust you. Dr. Lin, please rest assured. I have been in the pharmaceutical business for many years. I will definitely prepare thoroughly. A stack of money was thrown onto the table, the sound of wealth resonating throughout the room. With just a few strokes of the pen, the business contract between both parties was signed. From now on, we will have a happy partnership. With this commitment agreement, it should be protected by law, right? Dr. Lin, you are being quite humorous. What we are doing is against the law. It is illegal. Therefore, the law will protect us. Lin Ke, playing the role of Liang Ru-yu, said, Stop eating and get to work. Liang Ru-yu wiped his mouth, forced a smile, and said, First, let me introduce myself. I am Liang Ru-yu, economist at Zhanghai. Wang Hong, upon hearing this, realized he had fallen into a trap and shouted in panic, I want to know, where did you get my phone number? Wang Hong felt guilty, turned his face away and stammered, Just tell the truth. It was Cao Jiao Wang, your department head, who gave it to me. They had also signed a commitment agreement with me. Then besides our department, are there any other doctors from different departments involved? The person named Zhao Jianwei is not clean either. He and Cao Jiao Wang are of the same kind, both blinded by money. Call someone from the management to take him away for interrogation. Lin Ke said this and exchanged glances with Liang Ru-yu. Upon receiving the look, Liang Ru-yu said, I understand. I will also go along to clarify the situation. Suddenly, a red shoe appeared in front of Lin Ke, nearly stomping on the handsome face of the male lead. Congratulations, the master has uncovered the illegal activities at the hospital. You have also completed your professional task ahead of schedule. Receive a big professional gift, a trendy tricycle worth $10 million. What? What the heck? Is that tricycle? Lin Ke exclaimed in confusion. Forget it. Being a doctor is still quite interesting. I need to experience it for a few more days. The scene shifts to a hospital under the midday sun on a beautiful day. I'm here to share some good news with you. Wang Hong has firmly grasped Lin Ke in his hands. They have also completed the agreement. What do you think with that charge? Is it enough to get rid of that little brat? Enough. Don't just think about expelling him. Even if we went back to report him, it would likely be enough for him to face consequences. Calling the security for such an interesting matter would be very dull. I'm calling the police now. I want that little brat to lose all of his dignity and never be able to rise again in this life. In the blink of an eye, 15 minutes have passed. The door opens and Lin Ke walks in. Director Zhao, did you call for me? Dr. Lin, I heard that you and Wang Guanghong, the owner of Tiandage Pharmacy, have signed an agreement regarding drug distribution. Do you still keep the hospital regulations in mind? Someone like you doesn't deserve to be a doctor at Huashan Hospital anymore. You guys can't distort the truth to blame me. That childish trick is old. Think about it. If I didn't have solid evidence, why would I talk to you about it? Saying that, he held out his phone in front of Lin Ke. So you prepared everything, huh? What a pity. There won't be another chance to be colleagues anymore. Ha ha. At that moment, the door opened hastily. You are the Deputy Director of Administration Zhao Jianwei and the head of the Cardiovascular Surgery Department Cao Jia Wang of Huashan Hospital, right? A group of police officers entered and asked. The police arrived this quickly again? Zhao Jianwei and Cao Jia Wang were overjoyed. Comrades, this person is Lin Ke. He has colluded with the pharmacy owner outside to sell drugs for commission. I hope you handled this strictly. On the other hand, using his negative actions as teaching material to sound the alarm for our medical team. The alarm must be sounded, but the ones we need to arrest are not him, but you two. Arrest those two for me. Withdraw your statement. Both Zhao Jianwei and Cao Jia Wang were shocked and confused as to why they were being arrested. The two men were approached by the police for arrest, both looking panicked. One man behind them shouted in fear, Comrades, the criminal is Lin Ke. Why are you arresting us? What authority do you have to arrest us? Seeing him resist so strongly, one police officer became angry, holding a warrant in his hand, and said in a firm tone, I knew you would say that. This is an arrest warrant. Do you have anything else to say? Seeing the paper the police officer held, the two others panicked. Zhao Jianwei became frightened and exclaimed, Is it that serious? The police officer glanced over at them and spoke in a serious tone. You are secretly conducting transactions. You will understand better in your heart than I can articulate. The agreement that Lin Ke signed earlier was just to cooperate with us. Upon hearing this information, both of them became panicked, their faces clearly showing surprise and disbelief at what they had just heard. Zhao Jianwei angrily turned to the boy and shouted in an irritable tone. He said, Lin Ke, so it turns out everything was your doing. You won't have a peaceful end. Hearing the words from that old man, the boy showed a delighted expression. A smile blossomed in his heart as he said, What a pity. I've only been here for a little over a week, and now I have to say goodbye to you all. Ha ha ha, such a real regret. As he spoke, he wiped away the tears still lingering at the corners of his eyes. His face clearly showed joy. On Cao Xin's side, she held a banana in her hand, looking a bit worried, and then spoke up. Where did Brother Lin go after all? He said he would be out for a bit, but now there's not a trace of him. At this moment, Zhu Ziqing suddenly burst out laughing. He laughed while saying, Ha ha ha, Director Lai, everyone doesn't need to wait for Lin Ke anymore. He may not come back at all. Upon hearing this, Cao Xin immediately turned her head and asked with an annoyed expression, What does she mean by he might not come back? Zhu Ziqing replied with an arrogant demeanor, Actually, last night, he went to beat the owner of the Tiandage Pharmacy. I'm sure he has been taken away. Upon hearing this, Lai Xuhan shouted loudly towards them, Impossible. Does Lin Ke need a few small change? What you're saying has no basis at all. Cao Xin also immediately shouted, I believe Lin won't do such things. Seeing them speaking like that together, Zhu Ziqing became a bit angry, clenched his fists, and said, Don't be fooled by Lin Ke's status as a human. He actually behaves like a dog. Who knows what he's doing secretly? Lin Ke! Cao Xin suddenly shouted. Lin Ke appeared with a bright and confident expression, stepping forward. Seeing this unexpected appearance, Zhu Ziqing was startled. He couldn't believe it and exclaimed in panic, Lin Ke, how did you come back? Behind him, the police officers entered together and everyone's faces turned angry. Seeing this, Zhu Ziqing became excited. He pointed at the police and immediately exclaimed, Look, what did I say? The police have arrived. They must be here to arrest Lin Ke. At this moment, the police officer turned and said, You are Liu Yongsheng and Fan Shunfang, right? You know what crime you have committed, don't you? Please follow us. Immediately, the two were escorted away. The people around became panicked by the unfolding situation, and everyone was clueless about what was happening, engaging in lively discussion. Lin Ke raised his hand and said, Officer, there is one more person over there. His name is Zhu Ziqing. He is Cao Jia Wang's grandson. Upon hearing this, the police officer spoke up, Grandson, huh? Then let's bring him in for questioning as well. Zhu Ziqing, hearing this, became immediately anxious. His whole body began to sweat, and he spoke in a frightened tone. So unfair. I didn't do anything. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed. The click of blue high heels continued, and Like Suhan appeared. She addressed everyone. Director Miao just spoke with me. Starting today, I'm the head of the cardiothoracic surgery department. Lin Ke is the temporary deputy head with a probation period of 6 months. From now on, you don't have to work night shifts anymore. Just stay in the department. The department is short-staffed, so I hope everyone can bear with it for a few days. Like Suhan cast her gaze towards Chao Xin, and her gentle words made Chao Xin very happy, her face glowing with joy. Chao Xin shouted, I understand, Director Lai. I will do my best. At this moment, Lin Ke looked at them and smiled lightly. He spoke up. Hurry up and get ready to go into the operating room. The old man in room 804 is scheduled for surgery today. Hearing this, Suhan began encouraging everyone to keep their spirits up. Let's work hard and prepare to enter the operating room. Upon hearing this, the other two responded cheerfully with a yes. The scene shifts to the operating room. The red light made the atmosphere tense. Outside, 2 people were anxiously waiting. A woman in a red dress was sitting on a chair. That was Xiao Dong. Suddenly, the phone next to her vibrated, catching her attention. She immediately pulled away from the focus of the 2 others and sneakily walked to another place. In the stairwell, Xiao Dong took careful steps down. She spoke up. Sweetheart, why are you here? If they find out, it would be a real hassle. At this moment, the expression on the blonde guy's face turned somewhat menacing. He smiled brightly, clearly interested, and said, You mentioned that old man is having surgery today, right? I came to see how it goes. I couldn't help myself. Upon hearing this, Xiao Dong's expression became dangerous. She said, The doctor said the success rate of the surgery is very low. He could even die on the operating table. Are you sure he will die right there? As she spoke, the blonde guy's hands reached for Xiao Dong's waist. He wrapped his arms around her with a look of excitement. At this moment, she replied, You wait here for good news from me. As long as he dies, all the assets of the Liu family will belong to me. Then the 2 of them kissed passionately. Xiao Dong said, I will think of a way to kick Liu Jingyu out of the Liu family. I have to go back now, or those idiots will suspect something. With that, she walked step by step up the staircase. 3 hours later, the red lights of the emergency room turned off. The door opened from the inside, and several doctors walked out. Seeing this, the 2 people hurriedly approached to ask the doctors, How did the surgery go? How is my father? One of them spoke up with a cheerful expression. Don't worry, the surgery was very successful. As long as he recuperates well, living another 10 years will not be a problem. Upon hearing this, the 2 children immediately became joyful. They clasped their hands together to express their sincere gratitude. A young man with brown hair spoke. Thank you, Chief Lai. Thank you, Chief Lai. From now on, you will be the benefactor of our Liu family. Behind them, Xiao Dong's face instantly turned to one of panic. She seemed unable to believe what the doctor had just said, her mind racing with confusion about why this was happening. Wasn't it said that there was only a 5% chance of survival? At this moment, a doctor stepped forward and said, The nurse will bring the patient out right now. You just need to stay here and wait. Wife, thank you. If you hadn't been determined to have the surgery, we definitely wouldn't have done it. As he spoke, her husband hugged and kissed Xiao Dong's cheek. She felt incredulous about what was happening before her eyes, bewildered and unable to believe the truth she had just heard. At that moment, Like Suhan spoke up and said, Tonight, the 2 of you will stay on duty. The first night after surgery is very prone to problems. Stay and keep an eye on things. Hearing that, Chao Xin happily replied, Yes, Director Lai. The scene shifts to the evening in Lin Ke's office. The clock was nearing 11 p.m. Lin Ke was sitting in a chair, organizing and reviewing documents. Meanwhile, Chao Xin was slumped over the table, exhausted, drifting into a daze, mumbling with drool. There's just too much delicious food. I can't eat anymore. Suddenly, a knock sounded from outside. Xiao Dong's husband rushed in with a startled expression. He said, It's not good. It's not good. My father's heart has stopped beating. Both Lin Ke and Chao Xin were taken aback by his words. She woke up but was still rubbing her eyes. A few minutes later, a group of people quickly rushed to the patient's room. Inside, Liu Jingyu stood next to the hospital bed, her face filled with panic, constantly worrying about her father. On Xiao Dong's side, she stood with her arms crossed, observing the situation unfolding before her. She shouted toward Like Suhan and yelled, What are you looking at? It must be her responsibility. The surgery was not done well. Otherwise, my father wouldn't have died like this. 2 people, Chao Xin and Like Suhan, rushed in with panic-stricken faces. When Chao Xin heard this, she became angry and responded to Xiao Dong. You are talking nonsense. The surgery was very successful. Don't slander us. Xiao Dong replied with an angry expression. There must have been an issue during the surgery, but you are afraid to take responsibility, so you didn't tell us the truth, and now the problem has been exposed. Because of you, my father's life is no longer. Like Soo-han was sitting there examining the old patient. The light shone through the eyes of both Soo-han and Lin Ke, who were focused on him. Hearing her incessantly muttering, Lin Ke became furious and turned to slap Si Xiao-dong hard across the face. His face clearly showed anger as he shouted, "Get out of the way! This is not a place for you to seek attention." The sudden slap left Si Xiao-dong frozen, stunned in place. Her cheek turned red and swollen. At this moment, Lin Ke's tone became somewhat cold. "We are in the middle of an emergency. This is a hospital, not your home." Feeling that she was being treated this way, Si Xiao-dong immediately rubbed her wound with one hand and shouted at her husband, "Are you dead? Are you just going to watch me get hit like this?" Upon hearing this, her husband rolled up his sleeves and shouted angrily at Lin Ke, "How dare you hit my wife?" A long, slender foot suddenly kicked him straight in the gut. The look of pain was clear on his face, and the two of them immediately fell unconscious, collapsing on top of each other, their faces frozen in pain. Lin Ke immediately said, "Both of you calm down. If you dare to cause a scene here again, I will send you both on your way. Go down there and keep your father company." Seeing Lin Ke's heroic demeanor, the nurses were immediately captivated, all thinking, "Director Lin is so impressive." Lin Ke's gaze turned toward the hospital bed and asked, "How is it?" Hearing this, Lak Soo-han fell silent and replied, "The stitches are not open." Both of them fell silent, showing clear signs of confusion. The beeping of the electrocardiogram continued to sound. At this moment, the ECG displayed a flat line. Chao Xin suddenly noticed and exclaimed, "Director Lai, look at the patient's face. It seems a bit bruised." Upon hearing her words, both of them moved closer to the patient and leaned over to look carefully. Lin Ke spoke in a cold tone. "I feel that if there were a surgical risk, if there really was a problem during the rescue process, the state of death would not look like this." At this moment, Like Soo-han's face turned worried. She said, "Call the police." Upon hearing this, Kiao Xin immediately grabbed the phone in her hand, turned around, and shouted, "Everyone, do not touch any objects at the scene. Wait for the police to arrive. I'm calling the police now." Upon hearing those words, Steve Xiao-dong's face clearly showed signs of fear and anxiety. Half an hour later, the police arrived at the scene, and the forensic team indicated that the cause of death was due to difficulty breathing, initially determining it was a problem with the ventilator that led to the patient's oxygen deficiency. Hearing this, everyone became panicked, unable to believe what the forensic expert had just said. Especially Si Xiao-dong, she trembled all over, her eyes darting around continuously, becoming fearful, sweat pouring down, making the atmosphere around her suffocating. She immediately ran outside. Yuan Zaki noticed this action, glanced at Si Xiao-dong, and spoke up. "Hey, family of the patient, where do you think you're going? Stop right there." As soon as she finished speaking, Yuan Zaki immediately chased after her. The sound of her footsteps echoed continuously. She quickly said, "Xiao Zhang, you lead the people to block all hospital entrances. Lao Zhao, Xiao Liu, you come with me to catch her." Si Xiao-dong suddenly stumbled and fell down. Behind her, a police officer was approaching. A pair of legs appeared. Liu Jingyu, extremely angry, stepped forward and shouted in an irritated tone, "Si Xiao-dong, a slap as straight as the sky." Immediately, she received a smack from Liu Jingyu. "Why did you do that?" Jingyu's face turned angry. She suppressed her emotions, tears streaming down her face. Yuan Zaki turned to Zhao Wen and said, "Director Lai, the body of the victim will be temporarily handed over to your Huashan hospital for processing. I will take the suspect and the victim's family back to the police station first." Seeing this, Soo-han replied, "Okay, we will cooperate fully. All right, everyone can go back and rest. The director will probably call us in for a talk tomorrow. Prepare yourselves a bit." Like Soo-han turned towards the two, Lin Ke and Chao Xin. The scene transitions and a continuous voice echoes. Next, number 25. Zhao Wen immediately became panic-stricken, unable to believe her eyes. She exclaimed, "Why is it you?" Seeing her say that, Chao Xin bent down to ask Lin Ke, "Do you two know each other?" Upon hearing this, Lin Ke replied, "Not acquainted." That answer surprised Zhao Wen a bit. She wore a smug expression and said, "You probably don't know. The major hospitals in the upper tier of Huaxia have signed many contracts with us. Moreover, they've signed at increased prices. I'm still making money." Hearing that, Lin Ke responded with a dismissive look. "Oh, really?" He placed his hand on his chin, appearing calm. Suddenly, the phone in her hand vibrated. Zhao Wen answered, "Hello." On the other end of the line, a male voice immediately spoke in a panic. "Boss Lady Zhao, it's bad. The customs department said there's an issue with our goods, so they've temporarily detained all of them. Upon hearing this news, Zhao Wen's expression turned fearful. She was shocked by what she just heard. Her eyes widened in disbelief. She immediately shouted, "This is what you're doing, isn't it?" After saying that, she appeared somewhat angry. Meanwhile, Lin Ke remained calm, smiled slightly, and replied, "The contract states that if your side fails to deliver as specified, it is a breach of contract. In that case, we need not pay. You'll have to compensate for the breach of contract." Hearing this, Zhao Wen's expression immediately turned fearful. She trembled all over, her face slightly pale as she exclaimed, "Ah, you?" At that moment, she suddenly fell to the floor in anger. Seeing this, Xiaoxin panicked and shouted, "Lin, why haven't you examined her yet? Talking like that makes someone faint." Hearing her, Lin Ke then shouted, "What are you standing there for? Hurry and help her up. Arrange for her to be hospitalized." At this time, Zhao Wen was lying on a stretcher, being pushed away by those around her. Lin Ke picked up the phone in his hand, where a message screen appeared as he began to work. The person on the other end replied, "Okay." The sound of the keyboard continued to echo. The computer screen displayed numerous special characters, with articles being continuously posted with very special content. Seeing these news items, Lin Ke's expression turned joyful. He said, "Cao Jingchu, well done." He turned to Chao Xin and asked, "By the way, how is Zhao Wen in room 804 doing?" Upon hearing this, she replied, "Her condition isn't very good. Her eyes are a bit red, as if she was just stimulated by something." Lin Ke turned his head and said, "Really? I'll go see how she is. In such cases, we have to give the appropriate medication." Hearing that, Chao Xin stepped forward, looking shy, and replied, "Brother Lin, I'll go with you. I just want to see how you handle it. I've learned a bit more." At that moment, in room 804, Zhao Wen sat in a daze in a corner with a blank expression, her eyes staring vacantly around. Seeing this, Lin Ke suddenly thought, "Don't tell me she is excessively stimulated and has gone mental, if she has to be transferred to the psychiatric department." Zhao Wen felt someone looking at her and then paid attention. She spoke in an angry tone. "Do you think you can come here to show off because you think you are the winner?" Hearing this, Lin Ke chuckled a few times and replied confidently, "Ha! The current stock price of HR has dropped by 3%. When trading closes, the product will hit its lowest point. There should be no problem." While speaking, Lin Ke held up his phone in front of her. Zhao Wen looked at the screen and panicked. She exclaimed, "How can this be? Even if the batch of medication was seized by customs, it shouldn't happen like this." Her hands pointed at the phone as if wanting to grab it. Lin Ke didn't let her say more and waved the phone back and forth. Zhao Wen swayed along. "This is the hottest keyword on Weibo right now. Just one day, and the search volume for the HR pharmaceutical company has reached 1 billion. As he spoke, Lin Ke held the news towards her. At that moment, Zhao Wen spat out a mouthful of blood. She immediately collapsed on the hospital bed. Seeing this, Lin Ke panicked as he witnessed the scene. "Any nurses, come here. Prepare a defibrillator and an oxygen machine." Xiao Xin stepped forward, her face filled with fear. "Lin, I really admire you now." Hearing this, he smiled faintly and replied, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry, how is Zhao Wen?" Upon hearing Lin Ke's question, Xiao Xin answered, "It's nothing serious. She's just a bit weak." "Then I will come back tomorrow," he replied. The next day, in front of the hospital, inside room 804, Lin Ke approached the hospital bed and inquired, "How do you feel today?" Sitting on the bed was Zhao Wen. She responded with constant anger, "As long as you don't appear in front of me, I feel perfectly fine. Do you have any cigarettes?" At this point, Lin Ke sat down in the chair beside her and answered her question in a gentle tone. "This is the hospital. Smoking is prohibited." Hearing this, Zhao Wen rubbed her head and said, "Let's get straight to the point. What do I need to do for you to stop? State your conditions." Seeing her reaction, Lin Ke rested his hand on his chin and replied, "By the tone of your voice, it seems HR has given some instructions. You've come here to negotiate with me, haven't you?" She covered one side of her face with her hand and spoke coldly. "The head office has agreed to lower the price of ibuprofen to $138 as Mayor Liang requested, and the prices of 25 types of drugs from 6 major pharmaceutical companies will not increase anymore. They will return to the original prices from the start." Hearing this, Lin Ke immediately said, "Ibuprofen $10. The other 25 types of medicine are discounted by 2/3. If not, there's no need to discuss further." At that moment, Zhao Wen became panicked and shouted, "Impossible." Zhao Wen displayed a serious negotiating face. $23 is our price. Otherwise, we can't enter the Huaxian market. Lin Ke tentatively accepted the negotiation. "I'm okay. The price of $23 is acceptable, but I need one thing." He looked at her with a covetous expression. Seeing this, Zhao Wen fearfully stuttered, "What? What is it? Lin Ke gradually opened the door to leave. As soon as Lin Ke stepped out of Zhao Wen's hospital room, he encountered Nurse Cao Xin, who was anxiously rushing over, worried about Zhao Wen. Lin, why are you just coming out now? Is she not going to faint again? Can the emergency equipment still be used? Lin Ke flicked her forehead and said, thanks to my treatment, she's regained her vitality. She can be discharged tomorrow. Cao Xin doubtfully asked, is that true? Being provoked like that, can she really be discharged tomorrow? Lin Ke, with an arrogant expression, replied, of course. The two nurses beside him admired Lin Ke. Director Lin is really amazing. I also want Director Lin to treat me. Lin Ke called someone. Good, are you busy? Come over to my place for barbecue. Scene shifts to Zhu Zhaoji. Liang Ru Yu looks frustrated and tired, murmuring, you're asking a woman to buy meat. Aren't you ashamed? Lin Ke warmly invited her in. Come on, I've been waiting for you. I've prepared the grill and the pool, you just bring the meat. Let's call this a barbecue. Liang Ru Yu dejectedly tossed down 2 bags of food, sat on a chair, and asked Lin Ke about his intentions for inviting her. You called me here proactively, is there something you want? Lin Ke remained unperturbed, sat down, and replied, you guessed right, I did want to find you for something. Liang Ru Yu asked, what is it? Lin Ke smiled wickedly and continued, Miss Liang, just look at how much water is in my pool. It looks like this. Liang Ru Yu feigned doubt and shyly said, all right, stop hinting. I did bring a bikini. Lin Ke showed his delight. He took the opportunity while she went to change to start grilling. When Liang Ru Yu returned in her swimsuit, Lin Ke smiled happily and complimented her. I didn't expect Miss Liang to have such a beautiful figure. Liang Ru Yu shyly said, you don't need to flatter me. I'm still far from Miss G's figure. She reached her hand to touch the surface of the water, playfully splashing around and looking at the scene before her, making Lin Ke feel secretly delighted. Forget about that other optical device. This is what life is all about. Lin Ke handed Liang Ru Yu a stack of documents. When she opened it, the content inside amazed her. She stammered, asking, where did you get this? Lin Ke calmly replied, the stock prices of HR and 6 major pharmaceutical companies have dropped to their lowest. To avoid further losses, they exchanged this information with me. Ibuprofen has fallen to $23 per box, and the prices of other drugs have decreased to 1/3. I've done everything I could. He smiled with satisfaction and continued. Actually, the list of bribed individuals in this file is incomplete. They won't disclose those truly high-ranking officials, but I'm sure you can investigate it. Liang Ru Yu was astonished by this information. She contemplated and said, I need to discuss this with my grandfather first. Lin Ke replied, anyway, I've given you the file. You can do whatever you want. After discussing with Liang Ru Yu, he suggested she stay there since it was getting late. Stay here. I have plenty of rooms. Liang Ru Yu immediately showed a pleased expression and replied, okay, I'm going to take a shower now.